Alright, what's up everybody? 14.Design here, and today we are hijacking Chris Bazzy's YouTube channel to talk to you about design. So last time I was on the channel, I did a really extensive talk about branding, and it was way too long. It turned out to be like 40 minutes and nobody watched it, which is fine. I didn't watch it either. But today we're going to keep it down to a minimum. So we're going to be timed. We're going to do 10 quick tips for design in 40 seconds each. Alright, I can do this. Here we go. Alright everybody, well without farther ado, let's put the 40 seconds on the timer down there somewhere and we'll get started. Here's 10 quick tips for design. Tip number 1, shrink your fonts. This is my Instagram handle, @shrinkyourfonts. Something I tell everybody and a designer once told me. Now you can see in this example that we have a headline and body copy and some details, and the paper on the right has the exact same amount of type as the paper on the left. However, the fonts are shrunk down about 30%. Now, one of the best ways to get white space is to look at your design once you think you have it all laid out nice and shrink your fonts down. Just type that tab, bring that sizing down. If it's at 12 point, go to 9 point. Bring your fonts down, it'll make your designs look a lot better. Tip number 2, don't pack the page. It is not a competition to pack the page as full as you possibly can. I see this all the time with designers that don't have any formal training, is they'll put the words all the way butting up against the edge of the page, fill it with body copy and pictures. Here in my example, you can see one example on the left-hand side where we packed the page. 2 pictures, logo, boxes over the type, logo's massive. On the right-hand side is what I would do if I were given the task of maybe, hey, this needs 2 pictures. I worked with smaller type, limited the size, and got some nice white space and margins. Tip number 3, never warp pictures or logos. I see this so much and it baffles my mind why somebody would ever warp a picture or a logo. But people are like, well, I just need to fit in a square, so I'm just gonna squish it down a little bit. No, don't do it. It doesn't look natural. And you can tell when you look at it, hey, something just doesn't seem right. Here you can see the examples that I have. I squished the Pepsi logo just a little bit, squished the Nike logo just a little bit, but you can tell it doesn't look right. Same with the pictures. And the worst thing you can do is squish your brand like that. It makes your brand look not professional. Avoid it, don't do it. Alright, tip number 4, here we go. Use good color theory. Color theory is the idea that some colors work well together while other colors don't. And it's really easy to learn color theory. There's like a million videos on YouTube, so I'm not going to talk about it. What I am going to talk about is for your design work, using colors that work together. Practice good color theory. Here in the example, we've got one side which does not work together, they clash, and one side that does. And if you don't know whether your colors are gonna work together, go to color.adobe.com. They have a great color tool that will help you find complementary colors for all your designs so it doesn't end up looking like this stuff on the left, okay? Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is limit your use of fonts. Don't go with a ton of fonts because it doesn't help your reader out. You want to limit your fonts to 1, maybe 2 fonts. After that, it's just getting too chaotic. Here you can see an example where we have a lot of fonts. The headline is a super crazy display font. We got body copy in 2 different types of fonts. Every detail is a different type of font, and then we used a handwritten script at the bottom. It looks messy, it looks cluttered, doesn't look clean. Even though the type is exactly the same size on both documents, the one on the left just looks ugly. So the one on the right has 1 font for the headline, 1 font for the whole rest of the page. 6, don't outline fonts. I see this all the time. People outline type. Don't outline type. It looks awful. It looks unprofessional. It looks messy. It makes your designs look like poop. Never outline your type. Look at this example here. We got one on the right, one on the left, and you can see which one looks better just by looking at them. It doesn't take a designer's eye to figure this one out. You outline that type and fill it with something, and it just looks yuck. Now, even though these are complementary colors I outlined with, it still doesn't look good. Get rid of that outline, make your type bold enough to stand out on white. Alrighty, here we go. Tip number 7. Tip number 7 is always left align your paragraphs. The human eye is trained to read left to right in English, right? And so when they have to hunt and peck for where each line begins, it makes it really hard to read a lot of copy. On our example here, we've got a page that has a bunch of center-aligned text and a bunch of right-aligned text. And you can see, just by sitting them side by side, it's a lot harder for your eye to visually read the lines or see where the lines start and end if they're right aligned. It's much easier if it's left aligned. So always left align your text and sometimes justify, but do it rarely. Alright, number 8, here we go. Number 8 is use hierarchy effectively. Hierarchy is guiding your reader's eye through the design through the use of colors and font sizes and different typography elements. And you don't have to be a designer to learn how to do this. It's actually really simple. So here in our example, on the left, we have something that has no hierarchy. Everything's the same size. You've got the headline down at the bottom. You've got details in the middle of the page. You're not sure what you're supposed to read first. On the design on the other side, the right-hand side, you see the headline, which is nice and bold and easy to read first. You got your body copy. Then you look at your details, which we actually used a lighter color, and then a logo at the bottom. All right, tip number 9. We're almost there. Tip number 9 is avoid the use of drop shadows almost always. As you've seen in some of my other ones, I've used drop shadows to create contrast between the whites, make it look like paper, but in your print material, you want to avoid using drop shadows. Here we used an example from one of my previous design examples, the newsletter with the different mountainscape, right? On the left-hand side, we have the mountainscape with drop shadows everywhere. It's on all the type, the pictures, everything. And on the other hand, we have the same flyer without the drop shadows. Doesn't take a genius to see which one looks much more professional. Tip number 10. Here we are, the final tip. The final tip is look to other designers. If you aren't a designer yourself, or even if you are, I find it really helpful to find inspiration. No designer is going to take offense from you finding inspiration from their work. So if you're working on a project, go head over to Behance, head over to Dribbble, even Instagram can be a source for you to find design inspiration. Find something that looks similar to what you want to do or something that you like, and then you can kind of emulate it, make it your own style, and produce something that looks really well done. The reason is you need to find inspiration to inspire you to create something great. So head over, find some inspiration. Alright everyone, I hope you found this helpful. I hope that these 10 tips you can use when you're designing your next project, be that a PowerPoint, a Word flyer, or something professional for a client. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to get inspiration from me, all my social handles, they're in the description below. And if you want to see me hijack Chris's channel, let's start a conversation in the comments. Or maybe you just don't agree with me. That's fine too. Alright, well, it's YouTube. If you like this video, you know what to do. Alright, well, to end this video like Chris ends all his videos, as you can see, this is like, what am I even saying? Oh, I try again. Okay, so we've got these designs where, is that time already? What? How? Look at this Pepsi logo. What's wrong with this thing? Gosh. I just gotta remember, why am I talking so much? I gotta just be more concise. Less babble, more concision? Is concision a word? They've got an awesome color palette generator there that will help you pick out colors in time to get done with your 40-second segment before the timer runs out. I'm already out of time, it doesn't even matter. Well, since we're out of time, this video is sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Drink Dr. Pepper. I'm out of time. I'm out of time again. These drop shadows look munted. Munted drop shadows. Don't use them. Get rid of your drop shadows. Get rid of that timer. Ugh. I'm done.